I'm missing Larry and oh, normally we see. Yeah, that's fine. Cool, thanks.
sitting next to me. I see yours, they're you. So I ran out of onions, so oh, one of my bedrooms barbecued it. It was great. After 3 months of I got it
Office, I have them in the
Oh, in the
supposed to
bowl.
get just a regular brown.
Caused the toxins out of the air.
I said you did it. Well, she barbecued it, probably.
No, the funny thing is, my sister, once you cut an onion, once you cut it,
Whatever you would like, ma'am. Okay? We're doing manual because of Larry. Well, I'll go ahead and bring this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. First order of business is a roll call.
Thank you. Chair Wilson,
Present.
Vice Chair Kurth,
Here.
Commissioner Huber and Commissioner Porter are absent. Commissioner Dew.
Present.
Thank you.
All right, our first order is the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll be doing the invocation, and Commissioner Kurth will be doing the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Lord, as we gather to make decisions for our community, may we use Our first order of business, approval of minutes from our May 13th, 2015 meeting.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was the first? Oh, thank you. We'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. Thank you.
Okay. If you wish to speak to any matters before the commission, please fill out a white card and give it to the secretary, please. All right, we are moving agenda item number 1 to the last item on our list for today. So we're going to open with agenda item number 2.
Thank you, Chairman Wilson, fellow commissioners. Item number 2 is case PLN 15-00012. It is a tentative parcel map to allow for the creation of 2 parcels from one existing parcel with an environmental exemption. This is located at 17043 D Street. This is the home of Joey's Auto Repair and Johnny's Radiator Shop. There's currently 1 parcel. They wish to split the building into 2. There currently is a demising wall that separates the 2 parcels, so there's not an issue from a building standpoint to separate the parcels. And staff has conditioned for the appropriate reciprocal access agreements to be recorded with the recordation of this map. And with that, staff finds that the project meets all conditions and recommends approval.
I'll go ahead and open up public comment. Ms. Carloni?
Diana Carloni, I represent Johnny's Radiator. That's Mr. Isaias Aragundi. This particular project, and the reason it's being split is the settlement of a land dispute between 2 owners, even though the property is in 1 owner's name. And this carries out a settlement agreement. So I would simply be happy to answer questions and ask for your approval.
Mr. Chairman.
Good evening,
Hello.
Commissioner, Chairman. Just as the applicant, I'd like to say thank you to staff, Scott Webb and Joe Slegers, as well as Dave Cochran, did an excellent job in going out and visiting the site and helping us coordinate the opportunity to be able to split the map. And everything was done very efficiently according to all the development codes. We meet all the requirements, and we hope to get your approval tonight. I'm here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Questions?
Actually, staff.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the commission.
Okay, thank you. When you were interviewing or taking information from, I'm assuming, both parties, did you interact with both parties or just one party?
The application was filed by the property owners, so we actually have only been really dealing with the applicant's representative. So we really haven't had any dialogue with the actual owners. They would just sign, giving their consent on the application itself.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Questions? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and make the recommendation to adopt Planning Commission Resolution P-15-026, approving case number PLN 15-0012, and find that the project is categorically exempt under Section 15315, entitled Minor Land Divisions of the State Guidelines to Implement the California Environmental Quality Act.
Second.
We have a first by Commissioner, by the Chair Wilson, and a second by Commissioner Dew. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the project's been approved.
I'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 3.
As Chairman, Commissioners, agenda item number 3, PLN 15-015. It's a tentative parcel map to create 2 parcels from parcel 2 of parcel map 18111 with an environmental exemption. It's located within the Crossroads Shopping Center at the northwest corner of Palmdale Road and Cantina Street. The applicant's going to develop two smaller buildings rather than one larger one. And staff recommends approval as conditioned. If there's any questions?
All right, I'll go ahead and open up the public comment for agenda item number 3. Does anyone wish to speak to agenda item number 3? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and bring that back to the commission.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
I'll move to adopt the resolution P-15-023, approving case PLN 15-00015, and find the project exempt under CEQA.
I'll go ahead and second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner or Vice Commissioner Kurth, a second by Chair Bob Wilson. I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That project has been approved.
Move to agenda item number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 4, staff is requesting a continuance of this item. However, we would like to point out that we did receive a letter of support from James Mayo. That's in your packets tonight. And also staff provided a table which gives you some of the other cities and how they regulate those uses that we're talking about. And also would like to point out for Commissioner Dew, we are gathering data as well on the number of existing businesses in those other cities. Some of the other cities weren't cooperating as well and making us file a public records request to get that information, so that's going to take a little bit longer. So actually this continuance is good for that reason as well. So.
All right, so I will go ahead and open up public comment in regards to agenda item number 4. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and request a continuance to our July 8th meeting. I did have one question, though, for staff. In the report, we got the calls for service for the different establishments, but they're all coded, and I have absolutely no idea what each one of those codes mean. If we could maybe get those, would be beneficial. All right.
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Oh, in reading that report, I don't recall analysis indicating whenever the law enforcement, when they take a call as relates to for 2 deputies or fuel, I don't know how much each call, the cost analysis. I think that would be something we should consider.
That cost analysis?
Every time they make
how much it costs for them to respond to it. Okay, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
That item will be continued to the July Planning Commission meeting.
And now we'll go ahead and move back to agenda item number 1.
Thank you, Chairman Wilson. Item number 1 is case PLN 15-00011. It is a conditional use permit modification and site plan modification to allow for changes affecting the phasing of conditions of approval for case PLN 13-00013, which is a previously approved 60-acre 10 megawatt solar power generation facility on property located north of Palmdale Road, east of the logical extension of Mesa Linda Avenue, south of the logical extension of Seneca Road, and west of the logical extension of Topaz Road. The Planning Commission approved this project originally in 2014. And since then, the project applicant has moved forward with purchasing 7 of the 8 parcels that were involved in the various phases. In the diagram you see in front of you, phase 1 is indicated in blue, which is pretty much complete. The permits have not been finalized due to some of the outstanding conditions. Phase 2, they were able to purchase all of the properties involved with the exception of the Kloss property. The trustee of the Kloss property is actually on her way right now. I do not believe she's going to make it in time to provide testimony. She also provided a fax to us that came in fragments, so we're unable to give you the complete add-on today. And with that, staff essentially is requesting a continuance on this item to provide this property owner their due process and providing the information to you for consideration. We're available if you have any other questions on the other items. Staff in general is supportive of the change. It's something that the applicant has the right to request. We don't think it conflicts at all with the current state. In fact, if they were not able to obtain ownership of this property or a long-term lease, they would not be able to build out phase 2. So I think the applicant's here and they can speak more to that. But it's something that I think they're still going to pursue. But they, in their respect, they don't want to be held hostage from finalizing their phase 1.
I'll go ahead and open up the public comment for agenda item number 1. And it's Garrett, and last name? Bean? Okay.
Yeah, I'm Garrett Bean with S-Power at 2 Embarcadero, San Francisco. So we've taken quite a long time working on this project, working with Scott and Chris and the rest of the team to bring this project along. We've obviously made a lot of progress towards everything. We've been able to close on all the properties in the second phase, including 2 of the properties north of the project that were just required for improvements to drainage facilities. So we really feel like we've, cooperated and tried to meet all the conditions of approval as best as we could. However, we have attempted to close on this property several times through the escrow agent that was provided by the seller. Then we tried to go through a different escrow agent because she had a problem with the original one. So we tried doing that. She went silent for a while. And to meet our conditions, we went through tried to do a mediation, arbitration, settle out of court, and we've really exhausted all means possible. And this is kind of another example that we're seeing from her where there's something sent or done at the very last stage to prevent us from moving forward. The reason why I would really appreciate it if you guys would consider moving forward today is because, one, we've given her all the opportunities that she's needed to comment and to move forward on this, but she's chosen not to. And secondly, we have obligations with our financiers and with our contracts with the utility to come online. And thus far, we have not been able to do that, and we're facing ongoing payments in both in attorney's fees and everything trying to clear this up, and with our financing partners that expected this to be completed several months ago. So we've really done everything in our power. Right now, we're not asking to remove her parcel from the phase development. We're just asking to change the phasing so that you don't have to acquire all of the parcels for the first phase to be completed. So we're not asking for any change to her parcel, to any entitlements on her parcel. We're just asking to look at the phasing process. So with that, I'd really like to answer any questions you have, but because of our financial obligations to both our lenders and to SCE, I would request that you guys make a decision on this today.
I have a question, just to be clear. What are you asking for today? I noticed on the last go round it said in order for the issuance of a building permit, all the parcels had to be, and that was for phase 1, right?
Right.
So you got a building permit obviously built. Now at this point, are we asking for a building permit for phase 2? Is that what we're?
No, not
What are we
can
needing at this body tonight that's being held up by the parcel in green? by the Kloss property.
Staff's actually unwilling to finalize their phase one building permits until they've come true to their approved conditions.
What we're trying to do is finalize phase one in the blue.
Correct. And they've been working with us along the way and keeping us appraised of the actions against the Kloss property trustee. We're basically trying to, they had the ability to request this modification of you, and this was the option that they came up with to say, okay, well, why don't we see if the planning commission would modify the condition. That way that would put, I guess, the Kloss property out of the driver's seat. They're not basically thinking that they need this property to complete their construction of phase one. The intent of that condition, when it was originally drafted, was to restrict residential development within that area. But with phase two off the table at this point until they've obtained ownership, there still is some larger chunks of property that could be developed as residential. What we don't want is that phase two to be built out and we still have that 2.5 acre parcel that's the Kloss property that hasn't been developed and could potentially develop as residential. So phase two is basically off the table. That's what they're requesting unless they get their the approval.
So phase two off the table, meaning scrap the whole thing?
No, it just means keep the entitlements there, but keep it the same where you have to acquire all the parcels of phase two to build phase two, so you don't have like part of phase two built out and not. It's not really a possibility right now, the way the conditions are worded, but the way they are worded is we had to own all of the parcels in that block. So what we're saying is, let's just own the parcels of our piece, and then if phase two can come to fruition later, then we would hopefully complete the purchase with the Kloss property and then build out phase two. Does that make sense?
And for staff, is that what's the negative part for the city on that proposal?
That's what I'm trying to and what's the negative part for the Kloss property? Because if you were to act with this without Linda Romney being here, is she losing out on, I'm trying to come up with that. Maybe Garrett, you guys have run over this 1,000 times. What?
I mean, that's really the reason why we tried to keep it the way we did, is that this way she's not losing out on any entitlements. If she wanted to build residential there, then she could, but we could no longer build out any of that phase two. However, if she did want to sell property to us, that property to us, then she could, and we could build out phase two. So it's maintaining all of her entitlements. So that's why we were trying to preserve that. We're not able to contact her until like game time when that decision needs to be made. This is what happened when we were at the arbitrations and with the judge. She didn't show up to the hearings, and then she went after hours to talk to the judge after the time had passed. So we're seeing this repetitive cycle from her, this delay tactic. I mean, we just can't continue on like this.
Basically, we're just looking at finalizing phase one, no development in phase two until the Kloss property is resolved.
Correct.
But phase two does not necessarily have to be tied to phase one.
Right.
That's correct.
I'm feeling like I'm kind of okay with that as long as this other property owner and whatever happened is between you guys, as long as the other property owner still had as before this meeting, which sounds like they do, and as long as the city isn't jeopardizing
Potential residential development is
there and stuff.
I kind of agree, and if if you were to approve the change, she could always appeal that. She could always turn around and appeal this to the council, which she could do next month. Even if we waited a month, she could do that as well if you chose to move towards that.
Because to me, it does sound like this group has been working at this quite some time, and I read all the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not for lack of trying, and I know, we don't take financial matters into consideration, but I do
Right.
know that it's unfair that you have a lot of pressure
Yeah,
on that, and
to say the
at a
least.
certain time, something's got to break. So as long as the city's not affected, I wouldn't mind
Moving
that
forward.
recommendation tonight.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, yeah. Okay. I take it that you have concluded that as far as when this individual doesn't show up, it's a stalling tactic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the impression you're giving me. Okay. So, one of the things that I feel comfortable with, I think she's aware of the meeting today. I'm in favor of a continuance because that has not been a pattern with me or my being on the commission here up to this point. Should that person not choose to meet next month, the next time we meet, that's a different ballgame. But at this point, I don't feel quite comfortable without hearing from that person. And this is my first time presented the opportunity to hear from that person. So, how much of your project has been completed? If you were to say anywhere from 50% to 100, how much has been completed?
100% of the first phase has been completed.
100%.
We have been ready to go for over, since around November. I'd have to look back. I think that's about right. And we've been trying to work this out time and time again. The reason why I don't support the continuance is because of our obligations to our contract partners, our financiers, that we've promised time and time again that it was going to be online. We have not just this project tied to our financing package, but other projects. So that means if this project doesn't get approved, then it delays our other projects in San Bernardino, Lancaster, and the High Desert. So we are in a bit of a predicament here. Staff has been available for all this comment. Staff has actually received all the comments from Linda in the past and been able to go back through and sort everything out. That's the reason why we've kind of come to this agreement that let's preserve those entitlements, move forward. And I would really encourage you to approve it. If there is an appeal, as Chris said, then we can take it to the city council, and I'm okay with that because it does give us, a shorter time frame to meet our obligations, and it also will afford Linda Romney, the owner of the Kloss property, the second opportunity to come to a public hearing, voice her concerns, and work with everyone here.
I understand that. I want to commend you for something that you did do. Out of the goal was to purchase 8 properties, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And so you actually obtained 7 out of the 8. That's pretty high. And then with that said, you petitioned the city of Victorville to make some adjustments because of this snafu of sorts. And so that's commendable as well. How many years have your firm been in business?
We've been operating for about 7 years. It was formerly Silverado Power, which we started out working with Scott about 4 years ago. We merged with S-Power, who's been in operation longer than that and has been in the energy business for over 20 years.
And in those amount of years, you've ran across individuals that weren't, you go into agreement, something falls apart. So this is not the first time you've seen this, right?
No, it's not.
Okay.
But I will say that this is probably one of the most difficult owners that we've had to deal with thus far. We've tried to resolve it 10 different ways on 10 different occasions, legally, personally, and we just haven't been able to come to any sort of agreement. When we do come to an agreement, it's backed out of, and that's really the problem.
But you are making some progress up to this point.
I'd say we haven't made any progress over about the last 5 months just because of what's gone on. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Can
thank
I,
you, Mr.
Garrett?
Chairman.
Oh, sorry. Can I continue? So the financing that you're asking about isn't so that you can build phase 2 because you still won't be able to build phase 2. It's tied to the completion of phase 1.
Right. So we have obligations with our financing parties to come online and essentially obtain our certificate of occupancy, so we meet all of those conditions so they can finish funding it. So
the project's been done and providing electricity, but it hasn't been final.
but it cannot be funded along with some of our other projects because it's in a package with the banks, essentially.
Any other question?
Saw the door open. Oh, somebody left? No. It's probably Stuart.
Okay. I hope
Well, I'll
it's
go
Linda.
ahead and I'll go ahead and close public comment then. Bring it back to the commission. So just for clarification, we're looking at if we were to move forward tonight, this only affects phase 1, has no effect on phase 2 because there still would need to acquire the class property in order to move forward with phase 2.
That is correct. There's also a component regarding the Palmdale Road improvements, and Garrett's correct when he says they're 100% complete. I would just like to add, with the exception of those Palmdale Road improvements, that they're still working with Caltrans and
And that was the extension from 2 to 3 years.
correct, and that's still going to be tied to phase 1. So regardless of phase 2, if that comes to fruition, the Palmdale Road improvements are still tied to phase 1.
Okay.
To make a motion to approve as the applicant has requested and as I had stated. If I made that motion, would it basically just be paragraph number 2, staff recommendation? Would that be appropriate?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Make a motion to find that the project previously environmentally assessed and adopt conditional use permit resolution P-15-012, attachment D in the staff report, and adopt site plan resolution P-15-025, attachment E in the site plan, therefore modifying the conditions of approval of the original solar facility as discussed in the staff report.
And I'll go ahead and second that.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Kurth and a second by Chair Wilson to approve item number 1. And I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you, Commissioner Dew. I'll make that note. With the majority being heard, that item has been approved, and the applicant will be advised of appeal timeframes. Thank you.
All right. In compliance with the Brown Act, it is necessary for the Planning Commission to make available time for the members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items of interest that fall within the Planning Commission's subject matter jurisdiction. Please limit the length of time to your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none. I'll close public comment. Item number 5, the Snowline Joint Unified School District facilities need analysis. Comment on
Nothing to add.
that? Okay. There's now an opportunity to have a presentation of reports by commission members. Commissioner Dew?
Recently, over the weekend, I had attended a meeting, and I was asked about the river bottom, and there were a few people, out of 20 people, I would say maybe 3 people had concerns that the city of Victorville had little compassion for those individuals. And I gave them information which I was privy to regarding the criminality that occurred there being unsafe for certain individuals, and I told them the types of incidents that occurred, which a number of them were alarmed by that. So it's not like the city of Victorville has no compassion for people who are homeless. It's just that homelessness is a very challenging problem, and as such, I've never known anything that was complex could be resolved with a civil solution. A simple solution. It always required a comprehensive approach. And the things that we're about to face as relates to various businesses that are considered to be problematic, that too requires a comprehensive approach, and I look forward to that dialogue when we have that to address and send it forward to the City Council. I think positions such as Planning Commission, board members, City Council, I consider that the public always have expectations, and individuals such as ourselves have responsibilities. I think that's what sets us apart. And so with their interests, we try to find ways of making life better. But I know of no priority far more important than safety. And since those type challenges present us as relates to safety for every person, it's quite a challenge. So I enjoy working with my colleagues, and I look forward to the next meeting. I think we are making progress. I think we're in a state of correction, as well as making the city of Victorville more prosperous and for everyone. So it's never going to be easy, but we can't please everyone. But nevertheless, I believe we do good work here, and that's what impressed me.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just tack on to there is a riverbed cleanup this Saturday. If you'd like to participate, Saturday morning till the noon, and it would give you an opportunity to see what kind of dangers some of the dangers that Mr. Dew is talking about in terms of the amount of trash, waste, hazardous waste that's generated, the drug waste, the weapons, it's a complete disaster in the riverbed after they move the homeless out. So it's going to be a huge task to clean it up, and it starts on Saturday.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Commissioner Dew. And also on that note too, I realized, this agenda item number 4 with the code amendment, various code amendments, specifically the problematic uses. I just wanted to thank everyone from the staff. You guys did a lot of work on that one, a lot of research, a lot of police reports, a lot of other cities, even the stuff we received tonight. Somebody had to research all of that, and that is, that's the kind of information that really, especially something as difficult as this, helps a commission, I think, wrap their arms around it, if you even can.
Yeah.
Which I actually haven't yet. I'm kind of glad, I just don't feel really other, so that's why I was really looking forward to having a full commission to be able to
Right.
debate.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I read it and reread it, and it was like kept going back and forth.
I don't think I've polled as many people that I know on any item ever since I've been doing this. I'm still nowhere near. And actually, I think I'm going to be gone next month too. Yeah, it looks like going up to Oregon is going to be confirmed for right at that time, and I thought I might have made it back the day. It looks like I'm going to be staying a few more days. Postponed again for me, or if you just want to do it because I'm going to be a troublemaker.
You'll be a troublemaker. So.
I'll leave that up to you guys.
All right. And I have nothing, so I will go ahead and close this meeting and continue it to our July 8th, 2015. Thank you. Well, it's kind of how I was looking at it was